the superpower nobody told you about, why your past doesn't haunt you. It guides you. You know what nobody tells you about being strong, that eventually you get tired of it. I recently had the privilege of sitting down with Monica Hill. And let me tell you, this conversation shifted something in me. Monica is out here doing the real work, making the world better, one honest conversation at a time, helping women like us understand that our past battles don't define us, they refine us. She's a force, a guide, a truth teller who's committed to helping high achieving women break free from survival mode and step into the kind of peace and clarity we've been craving for years. And today, I'm sharing what I learned from our time together because honestly, so we all need to hear this. Here's the thing about survival mode, it's effective, it gets you through, but it was never meant to be permanent. And yet, so many of us, especially high achieving Black women who've been holding down households, leading teams, raising families, so carrying entire communities on our backs. We've been stuck there for years, decades even. We've been so busy being strong that we forgot we're also allowed to be soft. Monica reminded me of something crucial during our interview. She said that embracing honest reflection on past conflicts isn't just helpful, it's a superpower for growth. And I felt that because looking back with intention, really sitting with what happened, what hurt, what broke us, that's how we turn setbacks into wisdom. That's how we pivot stronger. Let me tell you about Ursula Burns. You might know her as the first Black woman to ever lead a Fortune 500 company as CEO. But before she was running Xerox, before she was breaking glass ceilings and opening doors for the rest of us, Ursula was a kid growing up in New York City housing projects, raised by a single Panamanian immigrant mother who worked multiple jobs and didn't play about education or excellence. Ursula's mom instilled grit in her, the kind that doesn't quit even when the world tells you you're not supposed to be in the room. And Ursula needed every ounce of that grit because when she got into engineering, into corporate America, into spaces where Black women were practically invisible, she faced barriers that would have sent most people packing: gender bias, racial discrimination, the kind of doubt that seeps into your bones if you let it. And then, when she finally climbed to the top of Xerox, the company was on the brink of collapse. Economic crisis, tech disruptions, layoffs, the pressure was crushing. But here's what Ursula did: she didn't just push through blindly. She reflected, she looked at the failures, the market shifts, the internal conflicts, and she used her sharp intellect and creative vision to pivot. She diversified Xerox into services, she formed strategic partnerships, she turned reflection into innovation and pain into purpose. By the time she stepped down, she'd stabilized a $20 billion empire and mentored thousands of leaders. She proved that resilience doesn't just help you survive, it helps you thrive. And that's the first thing Monica wants us to remember. Honest reflection isn't weakness, it's not dwelling, it's not getting stuck in the past, it's mining your history for the gold that's already there. It's asking yourself, what did that season teach me? How did I grow? What strength did I discover that I didn't know I had? Because here's the truth: every conflict, every loss, every moment that felt like it might break you, it also built you. And when you reflect on it honestly, when you stop running from it and start learning from it, that's when the real transformation happens. Think about it. How many times have you buried a painful memory because you didn't want to deal with it? How many times have you pushed down grief, anger, disappointment, and because you had to keep moving? How many times have you told yourself, I'll process this later, only to realize that later never comes? But what if later is now? What if the very thing you've been avoiding is the key to your next level? What if the lesson you need is buried in the season you're trying to forget? Ursula Burns understood this. She didn't run from the pain of growing up poor. She didn't hide from the sting of being underestimated. She didn't pretend that leading a failing company didn't terrify her. Instead, she looked those challenges square in the face, extracted the wisdom, and used it to build something extraordinary. That's what honest reflection does. It transforms your pain into power. It turns your setbacks into setups. It makes your mess your message. Now let's talk about pressure. Because if there's one thing we know as Black women, it's pressure. The pressure to perform, to provide, to be twice as good to get half as much, to hold it all together even when we're falling apart inside. And somewhere along the way, we started believing that pressure was just part of the deal, that if we could just endure it long enough, eventually it would ease up. But Monica shared something during our interview that hit different. She said, transform pressure into perspective with resilience and faith. Where others see only struggle, find meaning and clarity. And I thought, yes, that's it. That's the shift. Let me introduce you to Melody Hobson, co CEO of Ariel Investments, a financial powerhouse, a woman who's built generational wealth for underserved communities and sits on the boards of Starbucks and Disney. But Melody's story didn't start in boardrooms. It started in Chicago, daughter of a single mother on welfare, growing up in the shadow of segregation era limitations. She interned at Ariel Investments at 17, and even then, she was dealing with personal losses, grief, the kind of pain that could have derailed her completely. But Melody didn't let the pressure crush her. She used it. She reflected on the market conflicts, the 2008 financial crash that hit Black families the hardest, the skepticism she faced as a young Black woman in finance. And she turned all of that into clarity. She pioneered investing strategies focused on inclusion and economic empowerment. She grew Ariel to over $20 billion in assets under management. She didn't just survive the pressure, she transformed it into a legacy. And that's what Monica is teaching us. Pressure doesn't have to break you, it can build you, but only if you choose perspective over panic. Only if you root yourself in resilience and faith and trust that even in the struggle, there's meaning, there's purpose, there's a lesson that's going to carry you into your next chapter stronger than you were before. This is where the shift happens. This is where we stop seeing pressure as the enemy and start seeing it as the refiner, because pressure reveals what we're made of. It exposes the cracks, sure, but it also shows us where we're unbreakable. Melody Hobson could have looked at her circumstances and decided she didn't belong in finance. She could have internalized the rejection, the doubt, the systemic barriers designed to keep her out. But instead, she chose to see pressure as preparation. She chose to believe that every obstacle was shaping her for something greater. And she was right. That's the power of perspective. It doesn't change your circumstances, but it changes how you move through them. It doesn't erase the pressure, but it reframes it. It doesn't make the struggle disappear, but it gives it meaning. And when you can find meaning in your struggle, when you can see purpose in your pain, that's when you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the architect of your future. But here's the part that really matters: you can't just reflect and reframe and then sit still. You have to keep moving forward, not in that frantic to hustle harder, grind until you collapse kind of way, but in a way that honors where you've been and trusts where you're going. Let me tell you about Regina Dugan, Black tech innovator, former head of DARPA, former lead at Google X, a woman who's literally changed the landscape of defense technology and Silicon Valley innovation. But Regina's journey has been marked by profound grief. After 9/11s, she lost family members, and that survivor's guilt reshaped everything. She was navigating high stakes research and development, facing gender and racial biases in spaces that weren't built for her, dealing with defense budget cuts, and the weight of creating technology that could save lives or end them. Regina could have let that trauma paralyze her, but instead, she harnessed her creative intellect to pivot that pain into breakthroughs. Rapid prototyping, blast protection gear that saved soldiers' lives, Android wearables that revolutionized how we interact with technology. She delivered over 160 projects faster than anyone thought possible. And then she founded her own company, Wellsville Inc. Dot comma, because she realized her story of triumph over trauma could inspire action in others. That's the third thing Monica wants us to hold on to. Keep moving forward. Your story of triumph over trauma inspires action. Every battle builds unbreakable strength. And when you share your truth boldly, when you stop hiding your scars and start showing your healing, you empower not just yourself, but everyone watching. Because here's what I know: somebody out there is waiting for you to tell your story. Somebody needs to hear that you survived the thing they're going through right now. Somebody needs to know that grief doesn't have the final word, that loss doesn't define you, that you can walk through fire and come out refined, not ruined. Regina Dugan didn't just survive her trauma, she weaponized it. She turned it into innovation that saved lives. She turned it into leadership that inspired teams. She turned it into a legacy that will outlive her. And she did it by refusing to let her pain be the end of her story. That's what forward movement looks like. It's not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about using the past as fuel. It's about taking every lesson, every scar, every moment of survival and letting it propel you into your purpose. And this is where everything Monica shared comes together, because honest reflection gives you the wisdom. Transforming pressure into perspective gives you the resilience. And keeping your story moving forward gives you the impact. You're not just surviving anymore, you're learning to thrive. You're learning to protect your peace as a practice. You're learning to say no without guilt, to rest without explanation, to embrace softness without apology. So here's what I need you to do: not tomorrow, not next week, today, right now. Pause, get out your journal, your notes app, whatever works for you, and write down one past battle, one conflict, one loss, one moment that still sits heavy in your chest. Be raw, be honest, don't edit yourself. Just let it out. And then flip it. What did that battle teach you? What strength did it reveal? What pivot can you make now using your intellect and your creativity that honors what you survived and propels you forward? Text a friend. Tell them your first step. Keep that positive energy rolling, because transformation isn't a solo journey. We need each other. We need accountability. We need community. And I want you to feel something as you do this. I want you to feel energized, empowered, unstoppably hopeful, like you've just unlocked your own resilient superpower, and you're ready to transform your struggles into triumphs with faith fueled clarity and joy, because that's what Monica Hill is giving the world. That's the impact she's making. She's helping us see that our past doesn't have to haunt us, it can guide us, that our pain doesn't have to define us, it can refine us. This is your invitation. This is your permission slip. This is the moment you stop waiting for someone else to validate your healing and you claim it for yourself. You deserve to release the cape. You deserve to redefine strength on your own terms. You deserve to embrace softness without guilt. You deserve to heal in real time. You deserve to protect your peace. You deserve to turn your survival into something sacred. So let's do this. Let's take what Monica shared, what Ursula modeled, what Melody built, what Regina innovated, and let's apply it to our own lives. Let's reflect honestly. Let's transform pressure into perspective. Let's keep moving forward boldly, beautifully, unapologetically, because your story matters, your healing matters, your softness matters, and the world needs you whole and healed and free. This is your moment. Don't let it pass you by. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until the conditions are perfect. Start now. Start messy. Start afraid. But start, because the woman you're becoming is already inside you. She's been waiting. She's been preparing. She's been gathering strength from every battle you've survived, and she's ready to rise. So rise.